Hi everybody, it's Margaret Luria with the ADHD Video Club at ADHDvideoclub.com. Welcome. Now, you're in your 504 meeting and you want accommodations and you want to make sure you're asking for things that are most effective. First, ask for preferred seating. And preferred seating means that your child gets to sit where they prefer. There are different interpretations than that, but they are wrong. Preferred seating means your child chooses. Now, as a parent, it's important to remind your child that this does not mean, where am I going to have the most fun? You're in a classroom, sir, like you're in a classroom, kid. You need to get your work done. So where would you like to sit to get your work done? And here are some suggestions. Perhaps you would like to sit near the smartest and kindest student in the class. Perhaps you would like to sit near a friend who actually does get their work done and won't be distracted. Perhaps you want to sit off to the side. Perhaps you want to sit on an exercise ball. These are all different things that a child may see as beneficial. Typically, teachers will put the ADHD child in the front, and that isn't necessarily the best place to sit. That's kind of a mediocre, sort of obvious solution, but it's not necessarily the best solution. I have had students when I was a teacher who needed to sit by the door or the window because it lessened their anxiety. I have also had students that wanted to sit closer to my desk because it lessened their anxiety. I've had students that wanted to sit in the last seat so that there was a wall up against their back because it lessened their anxiety. They didn't like to have people in back of them. So there are all sorts of preferred seats that an ADHD child might have. I prefer to sit in the second row on the side. I always sit in the second row on the side when I go to conferences. It's not quite the first row. And I like the view from the left side or the right side. Usually it's the left side because I like turning right when I'm looking. So it's not just your child and it's not just some silly thing. I have a preference. And if I have a 504 plan, I expect to get that preference because if it's in my 504 plan, legally I get that preference. Another accommodation that's very helpful is to have a deadline that can be extended for a couple of days or a week. A couple of days if it's homework, like 1 day or 2 days if it's homework, or it could be even that it gets assigned in week 1, but it's due week 2 on Monday. So that the child has time to get some help, that you have time over the weekend, so that there's time to get this stuff done and it doesn't backlog. Backlog is super unhelpful for somebody with ADHD. So you don't want to ask for, they get to wait until the end of the semester to turn things in. Having it done, whether it was turned in or not, but having it done is just really helpful. If your child is failing and you want to get it up to a D, then definitely you want to ask for more time. At least, can I have more time to help him get to a D? Can he retake this so that he can get to a D? So that's fair. Another good accommodation is to have the teacher break down a project into parts with due dates. Now, a teacher can do this for all the students with the same expectations. It's not something that only kids with ADHD can profit from. But there needs to be concrete due dates, and these should be followed when you're on a project. If the teacher has broken down the parts into littler pieces with due dates, those should be followed. If the project hasn't been broken down, another couple of days is okay. You want to have due dates, and the teacher needs to enforce the due dates and remind the student to turn the work in. And that's another accommodation. Sometimes the work is done, but they forget to turn the student forgets to turn it in. So you can ask for reminders from the teacher. You can also ask for a weekly progress report from teachers. So either you send an email asking for updates, although now we're online a lot of the time, so they may say that everything's online, but there will be things that haven't been graded yet. When I was a teacher, if a parent wanted an update and they had a 504 plan or an IEP, I would grade that child's paper. Even if I hadn't graded the whole stack, I would grade that paper because they have a 504 or an IEP and it needs to be done. So that's something you can put on your plan. Another thing is that there be less homework. So, for instance, they do half of the exercises, or the teacher says, here are the ones that are required for you. It takes about 30 seconds to a minute for a teacher to come up with that, so it's not a super hardship. Another thing, though, however, really important, one of the things that's going to appear on the 504 plan is self-advocacy. That's a big word that people like to use. It's the buzzword. Now, self-advocacy is impossible if the child doesn't have skills self-advocating. They can't go from nothing to full self-advocacy. However, I like to start with the student emailing the teacher and just communicating that way. So I got my homework done, or I need an extra day. Just keeping in touch. The student may seem like what, I have to report to the teacher? Yeah, it's your teacher. You have to report to the teacher. So I'm happy. I was happy to get an email saying, Mrs. Crane, I got the work done. That's cool. I'm going to be happy for your child. Or, Mrs. Crane, which I was back when I was teaching, I need an extra day, and can I meet with you? So there's some communication. The email communication will make it easier for the child that is reluctant to ask for help. Hope this helps. Thanks so much. Take care.